going to go ahead and try planting them. Okay, so I want to show you these two beds before we work up to the meat bird barn. This is so cool. Do y'all know what these are? I would not have recognized them if a friend had not kind of started me on this project. So these are dahlias. They are dahlia plants. They're going to grow dahlia flowers. Okay, so a friend of ours raises dahlias and had dug, apparently, like you're supposed to dig, they grow from tubers that are down in the soil. So like you're supposed to, I think, when it gets cold weather, if you live in a climate that gets cold weather, you're supposed to dig those tubers up and protect them over the winter and then set them back out the next spring. So she had dug her tubers maybe you can let them overwinter in the ground, or maybe they multiply and need divided. I don't know. You guys can educate me on this if you know. But anyway, she had dug these up this spring, actually. So her name is Dawn. Shout out to Dawn. When she dug these up, she got a hold of me and said she had these dahlia tubers, and if I would plant them, because I'd said I would, she had them ready for me. So we got them in the ground. Actually, I can tell you, we got them in the ground like around May 30th or 31st, because it was right before we went coastal, right before we went to Outer Banks to Hatteras Island, down in North Carolina, USA. So, so they've only been in the ground here for me a little less than a month, about a month, right? Because today's the 29th. So anyway, dahlia tubers. So aren't they growing nicely though? They look great. So this is a flower bed that would have had actually chicken carcasses down in it last summer, and then old chicken bedding put over top of the original soil that was here. And then this is like a bag of not potting mix, but medium growing soil. It's called Pro Mix. So a bag of Pro Mix was spread over top of all that, and it's really growing nicely. And we had let some errant lettuce seeds get in here, and so the lettuce is actually growing in too. So I think I'm going to overseed like some lettuce in here too, around all the dahlias. Okay, and then this is cool. This is all volunteer. Can't really remember what this is. Obviously, I know, obviously, it's like a squash or a melon of some kind. We've got some really great plant identifiers in our community here. So if y'all know just by looking what this is, feel free to shout it out to me in the comments. But I don't know, is it squash? Is it melon? Can't remember really what I had here, and we've thrown different things out here. So it could be anything. And this is a volunteer tomato. So I was really excited. So we had a little vegetable bed here last year. So we have a volunteer tomato plant here. Some blooms are set right there. So we're gonna get hopefully some growth here. Okay, we tied it up, and here is, we've had some blooms on this. I was thinking it was setting some fruit, like right there, whatever it is. Here's one. Woohoo! So who knows, right? Okay, so let me try to, I don't know if I'm zoomed back out very much. I'm going to turn this around. Might be super close up of my face. It's hard to tell. I hope not, for y'all's sake. There's another. Is that a fruit setting on that? And so like here's more of this tomato. Yeah, I did tie that up, but like here's a sucker. We'll go ahead and take that off. Okay, so we do believe in that. Suckering the tomatoes. So anyway, we'll see how it goes. Okay, let's go and take a look at the meat bird barn. Let me tell you about some YouTube channels. Okay, so Farmer Always, I am wanting to get to watch. They just have a video up on planting spring wheat in Canada, Alberta, Canada. Check out Farmer Always. Relatively small YouTuber, growing the channel, doing a great job, improving their skills every time I watch a video. Check them out. I'm still checking out Hymus Family Farms, United States of America. And about a month ago, did a video where the chicks had hatched. Shows us the chicks. Chimma's Chicken Coop, Germany. Go on there. Chimma's got a short up showing a uniquely colored, uniquely feathered little chick, young chick, juvenile. And weigh in there if you know what breed it is, or find out what breed it is there from Chimma. That's in Germany. It's fun watching Chimma's Chicken Coop. Rocky the rooster and the hens. He's got a great group of chickens. It's fun to see. And he's a small YouTuber, recently reached 500 subscribers, still growing. Also, check out this one, Clucking Around. Clucking Around, United States of America, I believe Texas. Go on there, check out some videos, see if you can see Cookie, the hen. Some cute videos of the bantams and the frizzles and different kinds of chickens. And that's what, like me here with my egg production birds that are, you know, for egg sales, and my Cornish drought cross meat chickens, I don't have that kind of variety. Those bantams and frizzles are so cute. Clucking Around. So I'll put all these in the comments and in the description. And also, we do also, like, those are some smaller YouTube channels. Clucking Around, still under 1,000 subscribers. Let's help them grow. Check them out, give them some feedback. But also been checking out Featherbrain. Want to watch some of those videos. Red Gardens, R-E-D capitalized Gardens. Want to check out some of those videos. Those were both recommended by viewers. Millennial Gardener is one I like, and Millennial Farmer is my husband's favorite. And I'm going to tell you what, he's hardly watched any of our videos, Twin Oaks Farm Poultry. He says, why do I need to watch them? I see them made, you know. But he has watched, he's getting caught up on Millennial Farmer. He's watched so many of them. And I'm like, could you at least watch one of my videos for every 3 of Millennial Farmer videos? So anyway, but no, those are fun channels too. Those are bigger channels, lots of subscribers, but we learn a lot from those channels too. So let's take a look at the meat birds. I think that's it. We're going to end on taking a look at the meat birds. Okay. So wowzer. So let's, I should be able to keep track of this day to day and not have to count, but let's do a little count it up. How old are these birds? It's day 29. They were hatched on the 12th. We actually start with that day. So, you know, 29 minus 12 is 17, but I think we were calling them 18 days old because we actually start 1 on the hatch day. So anyway, so about 18 days old. We started with 434. We have lost 3. There are 431. So it's interesting looking at the pen right now. They kind of gravitate to the darker or more shaded parts. I think their perception is the shaded parts will be to their temperature preference. I don't know that that's always true, but I think that's their perception. I think that's why they do that. Because look here, other than like 3 or 4 wandering across there, and it's not super strong, but where we've got the sunlight coming in the building right there, there's basically no birds there. So they're avoiding that, okay? But anyway, they're doing really good. We have 60 bags of feed left out of 80. So, you know, they're a fourth of the way through the feed, okay? And not quite half of the way through production. So that's good. That's a good, aw, Tanner, you watching the chickens for me? That's a good relationship there with the feed and the days of production, because what they're eating right now is about 100 pounds of feed a day. 430 birds, 431, 100 pounds of feed a day, okay? We anticipate them pretty soon, probably another week, but we anticipate them to consume 150 pounds of feed a day, at least the last 2 weeks probably. So we're getting there, okay? This flock will be raised out to 41 days, so we might as well say 6 weeks, right? And then we'll pull feed on day 40. We'll pull feed on day 40, and they will actually go to process on day 41, okay? So we'll pull feed on day 40. So, you know, they're almost halfway through eating. And as I said, they're a fourth of the way through the feed, and that's accurate. That's where we should be. So we did order more big feeders, more big waters. Oh, they're on their way. They're on their way. We can't wait to get them here. We can't wait to get them here, because these take so much time to fill, and they don't hold very much. Okay, so that holds a gallon. The big one holds 6, and all I have to do with that one is dump a bucket in. much more time consuming with these. Hey, if you have these, if you ever have a problem with them leaking and making a swamp, you can actually take that apart, the bucket part off the tray part. We had that happen in the hen houses with 2 of the old ones. And there's like, you know, there's like a float down in there. Well, if something prevents the float from functioning correctly, it won't stop the fill function into the tray, and it'll just let that continue to fill, and it'll overfill when you'll have a swamp in your hen house, right? Tanner, don't do it. No. So what I found was we had that happen where they wouldn't stop filling and they overfilled and it made a swamp. I took that all apart, and there somehow leaves were down. I think we had let them set outside, and anyhow somehow leaves had got worked down in there, and it was preventing that float from functioning correctly, and it was, you know, preventing it from stopping the fill function. So if you have one break down and like stop working and it's leaking and it's making a swamp, see if you can take it apart. I think down in the bucket there's a piece that threads like a screw, and if you unscrew it, you can take that whole apparatus apart, and you can actually clean down in between the bucket and the tray, and that might solve your problem. So don't give up on them, you know, because they're an investment. But we do have, like I said, we have more coming. So like 12 of the metal feeders and 8 of the waters, almost $900. We're really kind of private about things, but I'm just sharing that with you to kind of express the level of investment. Okay, so so you can kind of think in terms of, if we had not reinvested that back into the outfit, into the operation, that would have been some pocket profit, right? That would have been a profit margin off the operation that we would have realized for ourselves, but we chose, you know, we're choosing to put that back into the farm. Okay, so, but yeah, those are an investment. You know, when we're talking about 8, I think we did 8 of these and 12 of those feeders, and total bill almost $900. They're an investment. Now, also on that water note, want to mention before we wrap up, we did have a great suggestion. See how the sunlight's getting stronger there? No birds. They're staying away from that. I'm actually going to turn this overhead light off today too. But we had a great suggestion. You know, why don't we just put automatic waters all the way around the walls? And we could do that. We have discussed that. We actually opted not to do that. And I'm going to tell you why we opted not to do that. One thing is, like, this short wall is temporary, and it's not always in the same place, and we reconfigure it based on the size of the flock. So the only permanent walls really are the doorway walls. And like you can see, that doorway is unique because those doors open in, so that prevents us from putting any automatic water feeder there. And then we really don't want even a semi-permanent infrastructure across these doorways, because the times of year that we don't have chickens in here, we can park vehicles in here, we can park four-wheelers in here. That's a Georgia buggy sitting over there beyond that gate panel, a concrete apparatus. We can pull it in here, okay? So we don't want, just in our situation, we don't want permanent or semi-permanent things around the walls. Now also, the other thing is, yes, it still takes time to fill these big ones. It takes much less time than it does to fill all this small stuff. But literally, like, that's just dumping the tray. We have a way that we can hold that bucket and just dump the tray and keep the water inside the bucket. So just dumping that tray and top filling it, that just takes a few minutes. Picking up a bag of feed and top filling those feeders, that just takes a few minutes. And then that infrastructure, those assets, those supplies, we can pick them up and store them when there's no birds in here. And it's minimal time to fill those. So our thing with the automatic is that it still involves time, because you've got to clean it pretty much daily. You've got to check on if it's working daily. It could break down, and then you've got to fix it. And here's the other thing my husband pointed out about if we would switch to an automatic system. It's not as easy to gauge, because we might run that right into the water hydrant, okay? So it wouldn't be as easy to gauge how much water consumption we're actually seeing from the flock. And one of the great things about the old old-fashioned, time-consuming, manual ways of doing things is being able to monitor and assess that. And when we have to fill waters, we know absolutely how much is this flock drinking. And we need to know that. When you're raising these meat chickens, when you're raising any livestock, you need to know, are they meeting the water consumption threshold we expect? Are they meeting the feed consumption threshold we expect? And when you switch everything over to automated, you sort of lose that data point, that reference point, as far as your own documentation, your own firsthand experience with it, potentially, unless you have it metered somehow and you're checking it every day. But we probably wouldn't have it metered, so we would not have that same concept of that reference point of how much are these birds drinking. So one thing we really like about manually filling waters is we know if the birds are on target with water consumption. We know if they're drinking too much. We know if they're not drinking enough. Okay, so you know, I would really not think of a situation where they're drinking too much. I mean, they need to consume a lot of water, so we want them drinking. You know, we know with like our laying hens, bare minimum, they should drink like a pint of water a day per bird. So you know, we expect these birds to consume a lot of water. They say that like with laying hens, they drink twice as much water as non-laying hens. But then, you know, like these are meat birds, so they have a high growth demand on their body. They're eating a lot of feed, so we expect them to eat and drink a lot. And so we have that consumption point when we're manually filling waters. But anyway, we are waiting on the rest of the waters and feeders to get here, patiently waiting, but excitedly waiting, because we can't wait to, at the age and stage these birds are, we can't wait to remove all the baby bird feeders and waters and get only big bird feeders and waters in there. And want to shout out again to, I have a couple times, but to our friends at Beverly Feed and Equipment in Waterford, Ohio, just being that source where we can access these things for our birds. They're a great help. I got a hold of them, said, hey, I think we want to try to get these bigger feeders and waters in here. Can you give me some price points, and can you get the ball rolling? And they were on top of it. I mean, like in less than an hour, we had the whole thing figured out. They had sent me pictures, told me what they could get, told me what the price points were, had the payment arrangements all worked out, and they are awesome. Beverly Feed and Equipment. If you're in Southeast Ohio, Beverly Feed and Equipment, they're great people, and they'll take care of your farm supply needs. So we're going to wrap this one up. I was getting in on those two birds. Did you see how they were like eyeing each other? You know, we're starting to see some of that behavior where they challenge each other. It doesn't last very long, and then they move on. So this longest video we've ever done. Hope you bear with me. Thanks for bearing with me. We're going to stay away from these long videos during the weekdays, and I'll work on making them shorter on Saturdays too. Hey, fun thing today. My youngest son put a tune on his truck with an edge tuner. We took the first ride in the tuned truck this morning, and it sounded good. Maybe we'll get him to do a video on it this week just for giggles. Hey, I hope y'all have a great week. God bless you. And please check in again here at Twin Oaks Farm Poultry.